Ciao, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Playdate. This week, I've decided to do things a little bit differently today. And not much differently, but just like I'm feeling good. Like, I honestly came in here today with the headspace of like, screw all the prep. Let's just chat. Let's just yap and see where it goes. So we're gonna dive right into it. Also, my hair today, it's not cooperating, so just like ignore all of it. Let's just pretend I have no hair right now. Anyways, yeah, like I kind of want to treat this episode a little bit like my writing sessions when I do music, where I come in, I don't even know the vibe I'm on that day, and I just start freestyling to the mic. I just start recording, I just start going for it and seeing what speaks to me, seeing what comes out, seeing what flows, and I think ultimately I want to do a little bit more of that on here. Um I go so in depth with my prep, especially when it comes to guests. Like I love to deep dive on research. I love to know everything there is to know about my guests and um, at least the basics, and then get to ask them to kind of dive into it a little bit more and, have a structure of the things I want to talk about with them and discuss it. And yeah, I go pretty intense when it comes to that stuff. And with my solo episodes, I do something similar, but not really. Like I have a topic I think I usually want to talk about. Like for example, I've talked about, the top lessons I've learned in therapy. I'd write those topics down or those lessons, and then I would then speak on them freely on the mic. But today I decided to say, to hell with all the prep and let's just chat, let's just yap and see what happens. Like I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm also feeling good and confident enough that like I can just drive the conversation for God knows how long because I'm a yapper. I love to yap. And back in the day, I used to do this all the time. I used to just set up a camera and talk. I used to vlog. I still set up the camera and I talk sometimes, whether it's on my Instagram stories or if I ever want to record a video announcing something. Like I have no issue speaking to the camera, but I don't know, pods are different sometimes. But just as like I guess fair warning, like I really don't know what this episode's going to entail today. I think I'm going to talk a lot about probably like manifesting your life and talking about where I'm at right now in life. I think this is going to be just like my time to do like a quick life update without giving too many details, but like a little update and just have fun and just kick it with you guys. Sometimes I hop on the pod and I take it so seriously, and not serious in the sense where it's like really intense, but I feel like sometimes I add this pressure to myself for no reason. It's just kind of like it's my pod. Like I can talk about what I want, I can say what I want, and like it can go any way I want. And I feel like sometimes I just always expect and want it to be perfect. And I've realized over the last few years, over the last few months, that there's no such thing as perfect. I think perfection comes as you go, and even then I don't think there's ever an end goal with perfection. I think it's just kind of like I don't know. I don't know. The word perfect is so unrealistic. I think perfect is more of a feeling rather than a physical aspect. Something I think can feel perfect, but when it comes to looking perfect, I guess it's all subjective when you think about it. Everyone has a different taste, different eye. But I guess feelings are subjective too. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about where my life is right now and how I'm feeling about life and just like realizations I've made and things I've learned over the past few months and really have taken in. Right now with the podcast, there is, I'm overwhelmed. Like there's so much happening. There's so much going on in the most exciting, beautiful, beautiful way. And I'm learning that if it wasn't for me and my hard efforts, I would not feel as good as I do. And the podcast would not be where it's at right now. I recently hit 1,000 followers not too long ago, just a couple weeks ago. Sorry, not 1,000 followers, 1,000 subscribers. I recently reached 1,000 subscribers on YouTube a couple weeks ago. And it was such an insane feeling because I know how difficult it is to, gain that exposure on YouTube. So that was huge for me. And I'm now almost at 2,000. So it's just like things are rapidly growing. And it's so incredible to see everything pay off, because I'm not going to lie to you, like I'm extremely burnt out. Like this is now my full-time job. And every single day, day in and day out, all I do is work on the podcast, speak about the podcast, think about the podcast. Everything is podcast, editing the podcast. Like my life is now this podcast, and I wouldn't have it any other way, but it has become exhausting. It's overwhelming, the amount of things that have to be done on a weekly basis, on a daily basis to prep and set me up for success for the following weeks to come, and being proactive. And I'm reaching a stage of like burnout. And it's nothing to do with not enjoying what I do. Like I love what I do, and I'm very firm on that. Like if you love what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And there was a saying too, way back when, I remember in like high school when I was doing a lot of like live singing gigs, I would always say like, love what you do and do what you love. And that's the end goal with life. I just want to be able to do what I love. But right now I'm at this peak where it's just everything is on me. The whole jeopardy of the show is on me. You know, I'm so thankful and lucky I have my producer. I come in the studio, he sets up the equipment, everything's kind of like done here, and I can trust in that. But aside from that, as soon as I walk out the door, that's it. Like I don't really have any help. I edit the show myself. I edit the reels, and then I put the subtitles on top of the reels. I do all the uploading. I do the descriptions. I do the outreach for different guests. And it has become like a multi-person job in one. And it's interesting because like I kind of enjoy that in a way, only for the simple fact that once everything does pay off, I'm able to say like, that was me. I did that. I earned that. I got that guest on the podcast. And maybe that seems, I don't know, not arrogant. No. Conceited? No. I don't even think it's a bad thing. I'm just proud of the work that I've done and the thing that I have built from the ground up, from scratch, by myself. It's been quite the journey, and yeah, it's just, I'm getting at a point where I'm tired. But this is exactly the moment where I remind myself that discipline is so key in times like this, in the times where you feel like you're exhausted, in the times where you feel like you're burnt out, or in the times that you feel like you want to quit and give up. These are the times to literally hone in, and the payoff will feel so much more rewarding. Yeah, it's taken a lot to instill that in me over the years, but I think I'm finally at a place where I'm there, and I now have like a very solid daily routine where I wake up, I, do all my skincare and brush my teeth, eat a solid breakfast, I go to the gym, and then when I come home, it's like go time. I focus on the pod, I read, I do my research. And speaking of research, the craziest, oh my God, this is another reason why like doing everything yourself is so fulfilling. It can be a burden sometimes. It can be a burden, but it pays off. And I don't want to give too much. I don't want to say too much, but the most incredible news, I just got the most incredible news like this week. And it's so fulfilling because like I did that. But essentially, there is someone who I have been watching online for a very long time, a couple of years for sure. And they have been on some of the biggest podcasts in the world. They have been on podcasts like Jay Shetty. They've been on the Mel Robbins show. They've been on Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett. Like they've been on all the shows that I watch. And I took a shot, I took the risk, and I emailed this person and I asked them if they would want to come on my show. But like, let's pause for a second, because who am I with like a very little following in comparison to those big names and those big podcasters? I'm no one right now, and I don't have much to offer in terms of exposure and publicity and status. And I'm just a regular small town gal, but I shot my shot. And, I think I did a really good job at honing in as to why I think they would be a great fit for this podcast, despite the low volume of, you know, the views and the following count and all this stuff, all the vanity stuff, you know? And I said, like, I think your niche would connect so beautifully and cater so well to my audience. And I would be so humbled and thrilled and honored to have you come on my show. And, you know, I sent them some like examples of like what I'm about. And I showed them some clips from the show. I'm sure they watched it on their own. And they're like a very big, notable person in the world. And so, you know, it took them a little bit to get back to me, and I did a follow-up. I did a follow-up, I think a week and 2 days later, because I also sent the email out on a Friday. I'm like, great. Like the email probably got lost over the weekend. Like, let me send that back up, you know? After I sent it, a day later, they got back to me and they're like, listen, I'd love to come on the show, but you're going to have to travel out here, like to where they are. They're like, I can't come out to Toronto. So if you can absorb the costs, absolutely, I will come on the show. When I tell you my jaw was on the floor when I read that email, because like there's no shot that this person actually said yes. Like I still till this day, I am in this fever dream, this bubble of like, it feels so surreal that I'm researching, going back to the main point of like doing the prep and all that stuff for this guest. Like, and here's the thing, you know, this person has all the status, all the publicity. I think they have everything. They're good. You know, they don't need me. But the fact that I reached out and the fact that I believed in myself enough to reach out, I believe in the value I can provide. I believe that I can carry good conversation, thoughtful conversations to make my audience feel connected and heard and understood. I believe that in myself. And I will be damned if I ever let anyone tell me otherwise, because I have a vision and I don't plan to give up. I don't plan to stop. I am quite literally not even just getting started. And I think that's why I'm so overwhelmed, because I have all these ideas I want to do and all these things I want to bring to life, and they're innovative and they're creative, they're unique. I want to be different. I want to stand out. And so I put all this pressure on myself, you know? There's so much going on. But that is the type of mentality I think you have to instill in yourself, is that you know what you bring to the table and you are confident in that. And no matter what anyone else could possibly say or do, they can never take that away from you. You know your value. You know your worth. You know what you provide. And I shot my shot. And lo and behold, they said yes. And again, never in a million years did I think they'd say yes. I had wishful thinking. I had hopeful thinking for sure. But to hear them get back to me and actually be willing to do it was like a whole other thing. And so, yeah, I got in touch with the production manager and we set up a date that I'll be flying out. It's just so surreal to think about. And needless to say, like the whole point of that is just like literally shoot your shot, because you quite truly never know what will come from it. And that is a perfect example, you know? If you don't believe in yourself, oh God, I say this all the time. I sound like a broken record, but it's so true. It's so cliche, but like, if you don't believe in yourself, like who will? Who will believe in you if you don't even believe in yourself? You have to literally be so relentless at how much delusion you feed yourself in order to succeed, you know? And I think that'll naturally just kind of, I guess, outwardly feed people that energy in order to kind of make them think the same thing of you. Be like, wow, that girl's really confident. She's got it. And that is because they can tell that you are confident and that you believe in yourself. So I think that's really huge. And yeah, I'm so excited as to what's to come. And there's so many things happening. There's things I want to do and take outside of the studio to then carry my brand further than just this production. I'm trying to do something that is a social impact. I want to be able to change people's lives. And I haven't figured out how I'm going to do that yet, but I know that that's my goal. I know that that's my end vision. And I want to make people feel seen, and I want to make them feel understood and that they're not alone in this. The whole principle of Playdate is literally knowing that you're not by yourself. We are all going through the same struggles, maybe on a different level, but everyone struggles financially. Everyone feels lost on where they want to be in life, or feels like they're not there yet, or feels like they don't know what they want to do. I think we can all attest to that. And that's why I'm here, is I want people to feel like they are not alone, and that is the whole thing about Playdate, is like, welcome to your next Playdate. Conversations you don't rush, because this is a safe space. This is a space where people can feel like they can explore new ideas and new versions of themselves and elevate their life. And yeah, so I just really want to take that further than here. I'm going to create more content that we're already kind of making in the works. That will be really, really fun to showcase, and is going to also give me a chance and me an opportunity to kind of get to step into a world where I can speak to more strangers about their story, about their upbringing, about everything, about their whole journey in life. And from what I've seen, I don't really think many people are doing one of the ideas that I have in mind. And that's really the one I want to bring to life the most, because it's very, again, it's innovative and it's unique. And I think a lot of people will find so much fascination in it. And it's going to give me, again, a new platform to really connect with strangers. And I'm so big on that. Like, I'm the type of person, I will go out in public and compliment a stranger all the time. I'll toss a smile. I'll say something like, I like what you're wearing today, and be a little bit more specific. But I'll only say it if I genuinely think that. And if not, I'll still find a way to be kind to them in other ways. Like, again, throw a smile, hold the door open for them, say thank you. Maybe toss a little joke and make them laugh. Just something to brighten someone's day, because you don't know what people are going through. You don't know if someone needed to hear what you said to them today. And yeah, I think with that being said, like, just being kind, and I've said this with my cousin in a previous episode, like, being kind, I think, is the most beautiful and important impact you can leave in this world. There's nothing more wonderful than strangers being kind to strangers. Because again, you don't know what someone's going through, and someone might need to hear the kind things that you say. Because I know I've been in the opposite role of that, where it's like, I really appreciate when someone says something really kind to me. It's like, wow, you had no business saying that. You didn't have to say that, but you did. And that makes me feel really good that you went out of your way. So just overall message, be kind. I also want to talk a little bit about, like, I feel like I just jumped from one extreme to the other, but yeah, my recent involvement in faith. It sounds so crazy, but yeah, over the last, like, little bit, I've grew up Catholic. I grew up Catholic my whole life. I did the whole baptism. I did the first communion. I did the confirmation. I did it all, and I planned to get married in a Catholic church. Like, traditionally, that's the route that I was going to take. That's the way I was raised, in a classic, like, Catholic European household. But I took it upon myself the past few months to really dive into what God and what faith actually means to me. And it's so funny, because I just feel like I went from one extreme again to the next. But I've been feeling so emotional about it recently, in a very interesting manner that I can't quite articulate. But it's almost like I've had a revelation or an epiphany as to, like, how prominent God is now in my life. And I think if you had asked me even maybe 2 years ago, I would have never talked as openly as I do about God and religion now. Maybe not as openly, but as proudly, But the past few months, like, I've had quite a roller coaster between, like, a fresh breakup, moving back home to my parents from the city, kind of reevaluating my career, and now switching into this full time. Like, there's been a lot of shifts and changes in my life. And I felt like the only other place to turn to, or the only other person to turn to, was God. And again, you wouldn't have heard me talking about this even 2 years ago, but, I've found so much solace in having faith. I feel like it's really protected me in a lot of ways. I feel like it's really changed me in a lot of ways, and shaped me and formed a new perspective on life, and really just believing that, like, God has my best interest at heart, and he will never fail me. the more I show gratitude, the more beautiful things start to arise, the more opportunities I am given, the more and the more that happens, the more I start to feel more reassured and reaffirmed in my faith and in God. And I think the key to all of that is really just showing gratitude, especially when things are going good. You know, I think in the past, the thing that sets me apart from my past self versus now is that I only really ever prayed to God when I needed something, or when something wasn't going my way and I wanted help, or if I had a stomach ache and I was like, God, take this pain away. Like, I would only really pray when I needed something. And looking back, like, it was super selfish in a weird way. I can't distinguish it, but like now I find myself praying to God every single day, sometimes morning and night, just thanking God for another day. I always pray at night, but recently in the past few weeks, I've really tried to instill praying in my morning routine, and waking up and the first thing I do when I open my eyes is like, thank you for gifting me with another day on earth. Thank you for watching over my friends and my family and making sure that they're healthy and that they're okay and that they're alive and breathing. And it took me a long time to get here. And I think my breakup and the transition moving home and that whole era of my life is really the reason I got reintroduced to this, you know? And it's about finding moments where even though things feel okay, to be thankful for that and not just pray in your time of need. I do both, you know, but I think the more I've shown gratitude, the more that, yeah, like I said, things just fall into place, and it's because you're grateful. Like, the gift does not go unnoticed, you know? And I heard this video about this guy talking about how his one friend has gone through like a really rough patch and whatever. And one day he saw her and she was just in like great spirits, great mood. She was glowing. And he's like, yo, like, what's going on? Like, you seem like you're in a really good mood, whatever. She's talking about how she found her faith in God. And she said that every day she says, God, show me how good it can get. And I too have also tried to take that and use that every single day. And the more that I use that, the more good it gets, you know? Yeah. There's, when you become open to receiving the fruits of life and the gifts that he can provide for you, I think life it feels so much more peaceful, you know, because you're so neutral, because you know that he has your best interest at heart. You know that God's not going to take something away from you and not replace it with something even better. And I think being open to just staying grounded no matter what happens, no matter if you get that thing or the outcome turns out this way or I end up with that or with that person, like, you know something better is coming for you. And you may not see it yet, but there is. There's like this photo that, you know, has floated around online over the past many years. And it's one I always remember in a time of need, and one I always remember when I feel like I got stripped away from something, or something doesn't feel fair, or I lost something that I wanted. And it's that photo of God, and there's a little girl, and you can see that like God took her teddy bear away. It's her favorite teddy. And she's crying to him, you know? But behind his back, he's holding like a massive, massive teddy bear, and she has no idea. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how life is. You think something got taken away from you when really it's for your greater good. And yeah, and I just think he always has something bigger in store, and you just have to trust. You just have to have faith. And again, the more open you are to receiving that and the more neutral you stay, things just work themselves out, because you know that it will. And I'm really trying to practice that on like not worrying so much all the time on the final outcome, or like, if I say this, are they going to react like this? Or if I say this, is that going to jeopardize or change the outcome of this? Like, no, quite frankly, it's not, because whatever's for you will never pass you by. What's for you is going to be the way it's supposed to be. So you learn from it, so you grow from it, no matter what the outcome is. It's supposed to be that way. So You have to remember to speak freely, speak your mind, speak without doubt, speak without hesitation. Be respectful, but speak your mind. Don't be afraid of the final outcome. Don't be afraid of what that person will say in return. Like, however the cards are meant to play out, they're going to play out. And there's nothing you can say or do to change that. So yeah, I don't know why I just got all into that, but it's really true. So yeah, that was a crazy tangent. So yeah, shout out to the past few months of my life because they have been the most chaotic yet most rewarding. I think during this time, it really led me to remember that, you know, everything has a purpose, everything happens for a reason. And to be honest, if all of that never happened, I would not be here where I am right now. Maybe I wouldn't have focused as much and honed in on this podcast if I was still distracted with other things. Like, I think it was all for a bigger purpose. And I think the end result of this one day, I'll look back and be like, that absolutely paid off. You know, it sucked in the moment. It absolutely sucks. But you go through it and the ultimate outcome of it is so rewarding and it all starts to make sense. It fits like a puzzle piece. And you're like, you know what? I had to go through that. I had to overcome those moments of adversity to get me to where I am now, as much as they sucked. But I had to. It was crucial for your character development, for your story. And on that note, just before I end this episode, because I'm leaving it pretty short and sweet, but remember to enjoy the journey. Remember to be present and to enjoy the present. And that's something I kind of clocked literally today. And I was on the phone with my cousin talking about the person I'm going to be interviewing. And I'm like, dude, like, I still cannot believe that this is real life. It feels like a dream. It feels so surreal. Like, it's insane. Okay. Because this interview, it could potentially change my life. Like, I don't know. That's not why I'm doing it. But that's obviously a thought in my mind is like, where is this going to take me? Are other people going to see it and want to come on the podcast? Are other people going to see it and change their perspective on life because of the influence that this person has? Like, is my podcast really going to have that influence, you know? And I'm sitting here and I'm grateful and I'm telling her, like, I can't believe it's happening. And when I'm telling you, like, I prep like crazy, like I prep, okay? So I'm watching podcasts and more episodes and diving in onto their story. I'm reading their books. I'm doing everything I can to really set myself up for success. And as stressful and hectic as it all is, because like I'm flying out in a few weeks, like it's crazy, okay? It's all happening so fast. And I keep telling her I feel so overwhelmed. Like, what if it doesn't go good enough because I don't have enough prepped and this and that, even though like I know I will, because that is the type of person I am. I also reminded myself during that phone call, like, wait a minute. This is kind of cool. This is kind of a really neat opportunity to actually seize the moment and to fully be immersed in what I'm about to go into. So that one day when I do look back, I can be like, holy crap, like that process was really fun. That process was really interesting. Like, I'm glad I soaked all that in. I'm glad I absorbed that rather than just like booking them, flying out, getting to the end goal and boom, there it is, it's done. No, like I am learning to soak in every second of this process. I am learning to find the moments of beauty and the moments of chaos in this whole process. And my whole point with that is like one day you want to look back and be like even me now, it's like, I want my present time right now to be such a cool reflection of my past. Does that make sense? I want to be able to have enjoyed this and not be stressed. And even if I am stressed, know and find comfort that I'm supposed to be stressed. That's what this is all for. Like that's part of the work. It's part of the journey. It's part of the process. But learn to kind of enjoy that, because this process, this exact journey is literally the footsteps. It's literally the dots on the map to get you to that end goal. And I'm not stopping there, obviously, but like once that podcast is done, once I edit it, once I release it and it's out in the world and whatever, that's it. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, like this chapter is closed. Maybe another one will open in, I guess, the aftermath of this chapter, but it's just so interesting and so neat and fun to think that like this is literally the part that I'm working for. This is the fun stuff. And people have a tendency to forget that. And they're so focused and they're so fixated on getting on that last part of the goal and rushing. But this is really where the beauty lies. Beauty within the madness, you know, and the chaos. And actually, it's funny enough, oh my God, I have concerts galore coming up. And the first concert of the year, I went with a group of my friends, and we could not wait. We could not wait for this concert to finally like arise. It wasn't even a concert. It was like a warehouse concert party thing. It was so freaking fun. It was so awesome. And we were anticipating that day like crazy. But it's interesting because the more that you anticipate something, the more that you literally can't wait, the slower that it comes, the slower time goes by. So the whole trick of it is just like, don't fixate on that end goal and just enjoy where you're at now, because inevitably before you know it, time is going to pass and you're going to be there. Right. So it's like all about enjoying the process. And like, why do we want to speed up life so much? Why do we want to be in such a rush all the time? God, like life already moves so fast enough as it is. Why on earth do we want to literally rush that process? What, we want to skip all the times with our loved ones and like miss the whole point of this all? You know, we're in such a rush to just like have the kids, get married, have the house, move abroad, whatever it is, that you don't actually enjoy the moments that's taking you to that destiny and to that end destination. I think the key takeaway is just like enjoy the ride. And that's something I'm trying to practice and instill within myself on the regular. And it's hard. You want to achieve these things, you want to tell yourself these things, but also like it is really hard to remember those things in the moment, especially if you're going through something tough and difficult and you don't want to enjoy that ride, quite frankly. But those moments are literally what brings you into the person you are now and what brings you to that next chapter and goal. So just learn to sit with it, learn to be comfortable with it, learn to be comfortable in the unknown, learn to be uncomfortable in the uncomfortable, you know? Yeah, anyways, that's my spiel. Just like, man, focus on the next moment and the next step in front of you. Focus on the present, because one day it's going to fly by and you're gonna be like, where did all the time go? Why didn't I soak it in while I could have, you know? So, my shirt's a little crooked. Yeah. So I don't know, I guess there you go. That's my word vomit today. That was kind of fun. I kind of liked going off the rip, off the dome. Yeah, I didn't know what I was ultimately going to come in here and say, but hopefully this episode was good. I don't know. I miss doing this. I miss sitting in front of a camera and just yapping and not necessarily having anything prepared and prepped and just going with the flow and speaking whatever comes to my mind, because we all have that little internal voice in our head and we filter that a lot. And sometimes you just gotta let it go. You gotta let it free flow. You just gotta spit it out. And I think it's healthy to do that. And so I'm really happy I did this today, because like, yeah, I got a little pea-sized brain sometimes, but it's got a lot of knowledge in there. It's got a lot of wisdom. It's got a lot of things to say. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy I just like came shoot the shit with you guys a little bit. Not that anything was really funny. It's not like I'm a comedian or anything, but it was fun to just sit here and just bask in my space and bask in what I've created for myself and really take it in, because things are, like I said, they're moving so quickly and so rapidly behind the scenes that like I want to make sure I soak in every single moment. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm like taking a look in this room being like, wow, like this is my home now. This is my second home. Like this is literally what I do for a living, and I love it. And I'm so grateful that I get to wake up and do this every single day. So yeah, like what a beautiful, beautiful spot. I love it. I guess we'll leave it at that. I think I might try and do this more often. Again, usually I come in with like a topic at least, but I kind of like the free flow a little bit. I like just spitting whatever kind of comes to my head, you know? And I hope all of this made sense, because sometimes when you talk to yourself, you sound a little crazy because there's no one really here in the room with you. There's no one feeding you energy. There's no conversation. There's no sentences to ride off of and actually like converse back and forth. So when you think about it, like it is really interesting when you see podcasters and you see vloggers and they're literally talking to nothing but an inanimate object in front of them. It's a weird dynamic. It's interesting, but Yeah. So it's, did I even make sense? Did I black out this entire time? Like, I don't know. I'll have to see when I edit it, and hopefully it just flowed. Hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully I didn't say too much or give too much away. But yeah. Anyways, guys, I think just as a whole takeaway, first of all, if you have a God, take pride in that, take joy in that, own that, you know? Remember to enjoy the ride, live in the moment, don't rush, you know? And like I said, and I said this in previous episodes, like, be relentless in your pursuit for success, you know? If you have a vision, chase it. If you have a dream, execute it. Do whatever you can in your power right now to do it, even if that's the tiniest little step, even if that means just getting out of bed and getting a pen and paper and jotting down ideas for that initial seed, and build that, ride off of that. And every single day, add a small task that you're going to do to make your life better and to make that dream come true. As a matter of fact, the night before, when you go to sleep, I think something you can actually do to set yourself up for success and be proactive in what you want to do is, on a sticky note before you go to bed, write down your number one priority for the next day. So you know exactly what you have to focus on. So you know exactly what you're trying to execute. What I do is I usually write maybe like my top 3 or 4, and I'll star the 2 most important ones. So that way, like, this is what I want to accomplish today, but these 2 are the ones I know for sure I want to get done, or I really want to hone in on and really like execute. So I think that's a great way to set yourself up for success. And it's something free you can do. It's something so simple and easy that you can try and see how it makes a difference in your day, because it's made a difference in mine, honestly. Yeah, that's something I've definitely taken away that's helped me and really has just been so proactive and set me up for success for the following day. It really just helps you emphasize like what's important to you. What do you need to get done? And the more you do those little tasks and finish them one at a time, the more you're just adding to your overall success. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I don't know if this episode's even going to do any good. I don't know if it's going to hit home for anyone or resonate, but I hope that it does. Again, that's the whole point of this, is to have people feel like they're not alone and that they're understood and validated. And we're all on this journey together, riding this wave of the unknown and what we want to do and accomplish in our lives. So just know that I'm right there with you. I don't have it all figured out. I'm literally taking it day by day as I go. So yeah, we're all in this together, you know? With that being said, yeah, thank you. Thank you for making this a safe space for me to just yap and talk about whatever's going in my brain and just word vomit a little bit. And I'm really thankful that, you know, I have such a lovely audience that is able to create this safe space and allow more people to come on and tell their stories, and also just being so supportive. So yeah, thank you so much for that. If you like what you see, toss a like, toss a comment. It really helps the algorithm, and maybe like throw a little subscribe in there too. If you aren't already subscribing, it keeps the show going and really brings the momentum for other guests to continue coming on, and also gives me the opportunity to continue bringing on guests that you may want to see. So with that being said, if there is someone you want to see specifically, drop them in the comments or send me a DM. Or if you have a really cool story yourself that you want to share, please let me know, because I am so willing and welcome and honestly encourage anyone with a cool story, whether you have a big following or a small following or no social media at all, just someone with a really cool, unique story that they can bring and share to inspire others. So yeah, that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much again. God, it's like the classic European goodbye. You know how there's the Irish goodbye and they just leave, right? They just like dip. No, it's a classic European goodbye where you stand there and yap for another 30 seconds and then you're still talking and you're still saying bye. That's literally me right now. So I'm going to end this off here. The shoes are coming on and we're walking out the door. No more coffees, no more sweets and desserts. We're saying goodbye now. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys next week. Ciao.